This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining me on Stockbox today is the CEO of MetalNRG, Rolf Gerritsen, and Bart Stryhas, who is the senior geologist, and we're going to be talking specifically today about the Goldridge project. So Rolf, if I can start with you, can you just give us your take on the Goldridge RNS release today?
Yeah, look, we announced earlier on in the year that we were going to be completing two key pieces of work. And the first of those pieces of work has now been completed on time, on schedule, and within budget. So very pleased with that. And it's enabled us to clearly identify the next steps, which is going to be key when we go on site. It's been a little warm in Arizona this summer, so we're talking 50, 55 degrees. So a little tough to get people out on site. But now that the weather starts cooling down a little bit, we'll be able to go on site and we'll be able to start working. And Bart has done a great job in pulling together all of the information and has given us a very clear path of what needs to be done next. And we look forward to doing that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, let's come on to Bart then. So, hello, Bart. Thank you very much for joining us today. I wonder if I can ask you to just perhaps start by introducing yourself, why you like the project, and why you want to work for MetalNRG.
Well, thank you very much for having us today. I'm a PhD geologist. My specialty is structural geology, and I've spent the last 35 years working in the mining industry, primarily as a resource modeler for the last 20 years. My specialty is the structural control of ore deposits. I've worked with SRK United States Denver office for approximately the last 15 years. I'm currently semi-retired. I got involved with this project last February. I was asked to go down and do a site visit for the CPR report. And due to COVID restrictions, travel was fairly restricted. And so I jumped on a plane and flew down there and did the site visit. And I was really very excited about the project. What I like about it is the fact that we've got all the components that make up large ore deposits. We've got great structure running through the area with the Apache Pass fault zone. We've got good heat sources with the volcanic activity in the region. And there's an old saying in the mining business that says the best place to find an ore deposit is within sight of the head frame. And there's a few head frames sticking up down there, so we really like that opportunity as well. As I mentioned, I've been involved with the project now going on about 9 months. We completed the CPR report this spring, and through the summertime, I've been working on the data compilation. We have millions of dollars worth of exploration data that came to us with the project. It had been compiled at various times through history, but really nobody had ever put it into a modern package of 3D software modeling type viewing opportunities. We've compiled the drilling, sampling, et cetera, and now we've got great opportunities, I believe, to move the project forward.
Okay, well, I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice, and you say you were semi-retired, but clearly this is an opportunity almost too good to miss, if I dare say it. I can see you have a presentation there. Would you like to sort of take us through the project in a bit more detail?
Sure, and this is really an update of what's happened since the CPR report and the opportunities that it has presented. So the Goldridge project is an exploration/mine development project. It's in what's called the Dos Cabezas mining district near Wilcox, Arizona. This area has a history of old-time mining, especially, although the particular gold Prince mine on this property ran well into the late 80s. What we've discovered through the work we've done so far is that we've got two real opportunities here. We've got key opportunities to walk right into this project now with funding, set up drills, and start drilling resources. We've evaluated what's been done previously with the exploration drilling. It's largely been focused on the production areas, and it points to the directions that we need to move next. In addition, as I mentioned, we've compiled all of this exploration data. It's shown us a lot of opportunities throughout the property where there's mineralization that has not been followed up on, and we could very easily discover satellite gold deposits with relatively low-cost exploration methods. What we're looking at so far has been a three-stage approach. As I mentioned, we've compiled all the existing data, and that was the project that we just completed. Going down to site in November, and we're going to be looking on the structural controls of the mineralization. We're going to be looking at some of these satellite targets and how to further develop those. And the results of this work, we hope, are going to be to compile real specific targets where we'll go in and get serious about doing surface trenching and drilling, and we'll really start putting some numbers on the paper. As far as background goes, as I mentioned, there's quite a bit of historic mining, in particularly on the property that we currently own. The largest mine was the Gold Prince, and it's down here on the southeast end. This was run by a variety of different operators through history, but it was finished up, as I mentioned, by Western States Mining in the late 80s. They produced approximately 60,000 ounces of gold. The Dives mine on the northeast end is another fairly significant producer. It was always historic production. Nothing there happened in modern times, but it produced about 25,000 tons, hosting 1 ounce. Excuse me, I didn't mean to say 60,000 ounces, 60,000 tons, producing about 20,000 ounces of gold. And then the Goldridge mine, which sits right in between these two, has some production, but we don't know exactly what those production numbers are. This slide here shows an example of the compilation work that we've done. In the teal color, you can see the 3D solids of all the various underground developments. There's 3 levels. These long adits you see coming in from surface are accessing one main vein that runs kind of east-west. And you can see that all the drilling has been right around these production areas. There's been very little step-out drilling, a little bit up in this particular area. But the point of this slide is to show that we know what's been mined, we know where the drilling is, and it really points us in the directions as far as where we think the mineralization is going. Mm-hmm. This is a regional geologic map, and what it shows is there are lots of historic mines as well as historic prospects throughout the project. As I mentioned, the producers here, Gold Prince and Dives, are in the central part of the area, but on the south end, there's the Arizona Klondike and the First Chance. We've got the Honeydew and the Philadelphia, and then some other base metal producers up in the north here, the Mascot, which are outside of our claim blocks, but are on properties that could be negotiated if we chose to pursue that. And so understanding this geology is going to really help us understand where to take these satellite exploration work. We've got approximately 50 targets based on prospects, mines, and soil geochemical work that's been completed. This is the local geologic map, and overlaid on top of that is the gold and soil anomalies. And what this shows is that the golden soil is widespread throughout the project area, much broader mineralization than we'd originally thought in just the narrow veins that have been mined historically. So in my opinion, there's excellent potential to develop outside targets that have not been investigated. And this will be another avenue of exploration that we'll pursue, is this soil geochemical work.
Okay.
And with respect to resource and reserve development, we've got drill-ready targets. As I mentioned, at Gold Prince, this is a historic long section from the Dives area, and it shows what's been stoped. It shows the rate or the inclination of the ore deposit, and it shows that there's been no drilling here whatsoever. This is all just underground diggings that were done historically. We've got coincident soil geochemical anomalies in this area, and understanding the structure will help us target the drill holes. So moving the program forward, in Q4, as I mentioned, we're going to plan on going down and doing some field work, focusing on the Goldridge, Dives, and this Arizona Klondike, as well as this first chance area way down on the southeast here. We're going to be doing structure mapping. We're going to look at the alteration of the rocks and how those relate to the mineralization. We have a handheld XRF analyzer, which is a sophisticated tool that we can literally get real-time geochemical results in the field. And this is an ideal exploration tool to really focus our exploration work and make it very efficient. We can pick up a rock right on site, hit it with the XRF, and know if it's mineralized or not. And that'll really help us refine our claim or our prospect generation. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, we'd also like to do some infill and additional step-out geochemical sampling. So we expect that we're going to understand the structural geologic better when this field site is finished. We're going to generate additional targets where we can trench or drill, and we hope to, in the very near future, add some mineral resources.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Now, you mentioned there was an awful lot of data, millions of dollars worth of data. Can I ask you, how is that data helping you weigh up both the initial turnkey prospects, but also the further potential to discover these satellite deposits?
Let me flip to these appendices here, and this is just a summary of some of the data. For example, we've got 400 drill holes, 170 surface rock samples, 280 soil samples. And so this is an example of how the data helps drive the exploration. The red marks that you see on this 3D rendition are high-grade assays, and they show that on the south end of the deposit, you can see here there's good mineralization in some of these drill holes, which has not been followed up with additional drilling. So this is an example of how the drill data, millions of dollars worth of drilling data, is showing us where the mineralization extends in the actual Gold Prince area. This is an example of how we're using coincident soil geochemical anomalies to target specific areas. So for example, up in this area where my pointer is, this is the Gold Prince, Goldridge, Dives trend up in here, but we've also got significant anomalies parallel that down in this southern zone. And these are the ones that we want to follow up on as far as generating additional targets. Okay,
thank you for that. So Rolf, if I can come back to you then, maybe just to get some final thought. What in your opinion is the potential here? What is the roadmap looking like? Because you've got these two different opportunities here. What are you going to be doing? What are the next steps?
Well, I think first and foremost, we have great expertise and a great level of experience within Bart that comes with to forward the project and move it forward. So that's great. We have a great potential at the project itself, and we have a very clear, defined next steps and next stages that we're going to go through. Bart will be on site with a small team, and we'll be doing some exploration work, further confirming some of the opportunities. Once those have been defined, that information that he'll gather will go back into the databases and the data rooms that we've set up, and then we'll be able to draw our conclusions from there. So I would expect that Bart and myself, with Christian, who is the non-executive director on the MetalNRG board, and that is Kristen Sefaletsky, we'll sit down probably early December, end November, early December, and we'll start pulling a plan together of exactly what the data that has been gathered tells us and how we can best move this forward to drive value forward. from my perspective, is the journey that I've gone through with Goldridge is that we started off and we looked at the waste dumps, and those are still there. The pillars are still there. We know there's ore in them, but it would be an absolute shame not to look at the bigger picture and understand how it all comes together and all the geological structures and how that all comes together. And therefore looking at the bigger picture to extract value for our shareholders. And that's really the path that we're on and that we'll be focusing on going forward.
Okay. Because so December's your decision date, is what you're saying. And I think it is important to have that, perhaps that stop date, that decision date, to, make sure you're balancing the risk of not neglecting what you see as obviously a bigger potential, but also not getting distracted as well. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And we're taking it one step at a time, and we're looking at all of the data that we gather very carefully, getting input not only from Bart, who is key to the whole process, but also from Christian, who gives us a third party independent perspective, which is also extremely valuable. And we're looking at spending money wisely and getting and extracting the maximum value that we can for our shareholders.
Okay. And can shareholders expect news between now and December then?
I think they can expect news on Goldridge by latest end of November.
Okay. Well,
in terms of the kind of field results that Bart has come back with, and then there will be further news towards the end of December when we have a plan of how to best move it forward.
Okay. But generally, you're feeling very confident about this increased potential you see here.
I'm feeling extremely confident, and I'm also feeling so because of Bart's experience and expertise that we rely on very heavily in this. And it's great to have him on board and driving the project for us. So that's definitely increased confidence. And also, I've said this a number of times to our investors, the way we structure ourselves is we might appear looking from the outside in that we're trying to do a lot of things, but everything we do has resource dedicated to it, resources that are focused on driving that specific area of the business or that specific project forward. And the funding is there to drive it forward. So extremely confident on our next steps in this journey.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Rolf Gerritsen, the CEO of MetalNRG, and of course, Bart as well. Thank you very much, the senior geologist at MetalNRG, for giving us that insight into Goldridge.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much.
Pleased to be here.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.